restaurants in New York City. And for the next hour, the last hour of the day, I'm joined by Victoria Herrera and Darcy Moore. Hello, girls.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so in the next hour, we're going to be talking about different types of design. Victoria, you're specializing in
Branding.
branding and
And I'm going to be showing a lot of illustration work.
a lot of illustration work. And for the second half of the hour, we'll also be looking at two portfolios that were submitted in the past few weeks, and try to give some constructive criticism to those portfolios. So let's start. Let's do like it's gonna be. I'm gonna sit back a little bit like this. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can cross my legs. Let's just chill for the last hour of the day.
Yes.
Victoria,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. I am a graphic designer currently working at Mother Design here in New York. I am originally from Guatemala, been in New York for the past 4 years, and yeah, I specialize in branding. So
All right.
I can show you a little bit of my
And
work.
what brought you to design?
Brought me to design.
I have very vivid memories of the point where it suddenly became clear to me that's what I'm going to do.
I think looking back, I realized that there was a lot of moments in my childhood of just playing with like paint on the computer, or even like finding old photo shoots with my sister, or I would like make up companies with her to make kind of logos with. So I guess it's always been there, but yeah, it's just kind of somewhere I got to.
Yeah. And then did you go to school, or
I went to
are
school,
you
yep, in San
self-taught?
Francisco, at the Academy of Art, and yeah, after completing my studies there, I moved to New York to kind of pursue my career.
Okay, so first San Francisco and then New York.
Yep.
All right. How about you, Darcy? I'm going to go over to your website
Yeah.
for a second.
How did I get into design?
Yes.
So I was originally interning at in a photo department at Harper's Bazaar magazine, and I realized that in order to have more creative control, you had to have a graphic design background. So I decided to switch over to graphic design from an art history degree, and that's how I got into it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So basically, starting as a photo producer.
Photo editorial.
Photo editorial.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you taught yourself graphic design, or?
I actually took courses at Parsons, the New
Okay,
School for
yeah,
Design,
yeah.
and then started my first internship at Refinery 29, which is a digital fashion media company, and that's how I got into digital design.
All right. And yes, so let's start talking a little bit about like your favorite projects or things that you want to highlight in your career.
Sure, yeah. Why don't we go to Bpace
Yeah.
down here?
This one here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was a project that I got to work on while I was working at Apartment 1. And Bpace is a nonprofit incubator that provides kind of resources and amenities to newly founded nonprofits. So kind of a fun message to work with, and that's where the concept of this kind of bee community and beehive came from, and that's what we thought would be a fun thing to play with, not only for the name, but also the design. So as we scroll, you can see that the mark kind of plays off of this bee concept, but we didn't want to be too literal. We didn't want to go with like a black and white color palette, so we felt that the negative space kind of did that nod. And then furthering this kind of coming together concept with the E's kind of being stacked, which also creates the form of a single E once they're stacked. And the color palette also inspired by bees, but also we thought yellow was a nice, uplifting, kind of positive color. So the system also called for an iconography system, which was then used for wayfinding later. We'll see it in situ. And just wanted to be as consistent as possible when making icons, so you see this is like a single stroke with open ends that really works successfully kind of in the glass and plastic as a single line. And yeah, I can take you. We start seeing the type kind of working here, taking elements from the B mark, like the white bars, and how that can be used in the back of headlines for Profit the World, kind of making it a little bit more dynamic system. So this works on print and then also in web, as we see down here. Super simple website. Another opportunity to feature icons. There's another web page here. Using these kind of bar elements continuously through the system with infographics, some more icons kind of in the same world.
How many of those icons do you have to design in the end?
Probably like 20, something like that. Yeah. I love this
I like the
mentorship book.
mentorship,
Yeah, that
right,
was
that's
like my favorite. Yeah.
That caught my eye right away. Very nice.
Thank you, yeah. And then in terms of usage of the mark, just wanted to be confident and bold with it. You know, it lives really largely in the footer of the website, and then as we get into some of the print applications lower, taking up as much space as it can, word mark going, you know, from left to right margins, in smaller applications like the business cards, and then also in the letterhead as we saw in the first image.
So were these this real photographs, or is this like comps you created?
That's real photographs,
Real
yeah.
photographs, wow. Because that's one thing that we've been talking about all day as well, is like when you present the work, like always make it like lying on a table or
Right.
on a magazine or something to make it look real.
Yeah, I
But
feel like
this,
it
of course,
helps
is
to,
photographs.
yeah,
It is real.
it is real. Yeah, and then in the environment, trying to figure out how we can brand the space, we felt like these wire ducks kind of represented the mark, and a cool opportunity to bring the brand color into that, into some more type moments of the manifesto, and just like more branded moments as we go through in the space of type and color. And you kind of see the icons starting to come to use here in the space. And the last element was this kind of departed from the brand itself, but this collage mural, which felt like brought a nice humanity and kind of warmth to the space. So this was made from vintage National Geographic magazines, kind of cut and pasted and then enlarged.
Wow, great series. That's really complete. I see. You know, one reason why I was sitting here in front is because I need to read the chat. So what's happening in the chat? So much yellow. Looked like they only had to work with one color swatch in the challenge. Was that the case? Were you asked to work with just one color, or?
I mean, we had black and white also to play off of, so I'm a fan of white space and white in general, so I think it helped make it a little bit more dynamic, but also having a single color, I think, gives a brand a little bit more of a consistent feel, so.
That's right. Yeah, that looks like very, very yellow.
Very yellow, yes.
All right. No questions that these are cute furry charmers. Oh, that's Jan. Oh, that's Jan Eric. Jan Eric is a regular on the chat here. Make it pop, minimal approach. Yep. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna move to Darcy for a second. Let's look at one of your projects.
Sure. I'll talk about this first one here, the painted one. So, until it loads.
Sucre papier.
Yes. This is a body of illustrations that I created for a small magazine based in Copenhagen called Sucre Paper. And the magazine features different artists and photographers around the world. So I wanted to create a set of illustrations that were representative of my interests as a designer, which are both in digital design and painting. So these illustrations feature vector shapes, and over them there's a layer of this acrylic paint that was painted on paper and then scanned over them. And I think each of these really has their own character and their own energy to them that's given to it by the spontaneous paint. And I think that this is a really good example of how you can express yourself as a designer through the mixing of different mediums that you're interested in.
Yeah, it's a great series.
Thank you.
Did you have fun doing it? Like, did you create the manual, the paint strokes?
Yeah, so I painted all this stuff on paper, and then after I paint on a sheet, I fold it in half to get this sort of
Gouache.
yeah, gouache and kind of random looking shape and abstract feel. And then I scan it in Photoshop and clean it up and then layer it over the vector images.
Awesome. There was a question here, I think, from Nick. Can you explain the process behind expanding a brand that exists solely in print digital space to an environmental experience? Like probably, when we saw how you created also the environment.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's about thinking about not only the colors and the way that they can live in the world and type, but also materiality, right? So in a space like Bpace, white was like a big kind of thing. In one of the other projects I'll show, we had kind of a dotted grid that became a pegboard. So thinking how to make kind of these flat graphics become physical things is always the first way I go about it.
All right. Do you want to tell a little bit more about this series?
Sure. I mean, yeah, basically I think that this is a great example of mixing mediums, and it's nice to find your own process and your own style, because then it's something that you can continue to do. And I think this project was a good kickstart to me continuing in this style, and I've been doing it in my own free time for fun as well.
And these were printed by the magazine or like used in the magazine?
They were featured in their online visual feed, so they were just used for digital use.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move to another project of yours.
Sure, yeah. Let's go.
Back to the homepage.
Yeah, let's do this guy right here. This is like a short and sweet one.
Which one?
Typeface.
This one?
Yeah,
Oh.
so this is Sky, a typeface I designed, and it came from a project that never really made it into the world, and so it was originally for a brand called Sky, so the S, K, and Y had been designed. And then after it was killed, I just kind of fell in love with the letter forms and felt it would be fun to kind of give it another life and create this typeface. But a little bit of background on how I got here. Sky was going to be a high-rise luxury real estate building in Miami, created by Norman Foster, the architect. So it was this really beautiful, luxe, tall building. Wanted to reflect that in the typography, and really kind of inspired with like fashion serifs of like Didot and Bodoni, but super contrasty thicks and thins, right? But didn't want to get super feminine, so stayed in the sans serif world. We can see a couple more elements, just a little bit more up close. And yeah, it resulted in this kind of condensed, sleek sans serif that I felt like brought the edge of kind of the Miami vibe, but also talked about the sleekness and height of the building.
Did you actually create a font with it?
I have not yet, but
There's a really cool app that works with Illustrator and Photoshop. It's called Font Self. Have you checked that out?
No,
Have you heard about that?
Is it easy
Basically,
to use?
you just tell in Illustrator, you say, okay, this is from A to Z, and it creates an open type font for you.
That's amazing.
That you can immediately use and even share. Like we've done that on stream sometimes.
Wow.
That yes, the guests would design all the characters, and then we would transform those characters into a font and give it out to the community. So
super cool.
yeah, I mean, we'll definitely check it out. And I think they've added kerning just last week.
Oh, nice.
So it's
Really
it's getting
customized.
better and better. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I love type work because it's far more complex than people think.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Like you said, you mentioned here you were constantly focusing on the S, K, and Y
Yep.
for Sky, right? And but then when you start like developing all of the other letters, it takes a lot of time.
It does, definitely newfound appreciation for type
Yeah.
design.
No, people always ask, why should I pay for fonts?
Yeah.
There's a reason.
There is
yeah.
a reason indeed. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. And then some extra glyphs here as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Just
have you
in
guys
use.
seen the video of the quick brown fox that jumps over the lazy dog?
No.
No.
There's actually a video out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you Google the quick brown fox, and we're not going to do it now, but
Check that out.
they actually have a video of a brown fox jumping over a dog that's lazy. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to another project, Darcy.
Sure. I'll talk about the next project.
This one here?
Yep, another set of illustrations. So this is another freelance illustration project that I did for an online magazine called Shapeshift Report. And the story that I made the illustrations for is called The Shape of Travel. And it discusses basically how the travel industry is changing with social media and this ability to connect with a stranger and how that can formulate a spontaneous experience. So if you scroll down a little bit, further, these are the illustrations in context of the article, just images to give you context. But process-wise, I started out with this color palette, and I wanted to choose something that was really neutral, so I could apply it to different geographic locations, and still have it make sense. And if you scroll down a bit more.
How did you choose these colors?
Sure. So I actually watched a bunch of videos on YouTube and screenshotted different scenes that I liked from whether they were like music videos or short films, and created a mood board, and then collected colors from these video screens that I liked.
That's an interesting approach.
Thanks.
Because that's a question that I very frequently get in the chat is, how do you gather the colors? And you said you created a mood board, like with pictures,
just
or
screenshotting imagery that inspires you, and then using the eyedrop tool and kind of collecting different colors that you like, and then organizing them in the palette on the side.
How do you collect the imagery? Do you
Just
use Pinterest, or do you create an Illustrator document with all the images?
I usually just do screenshots, and then I drag them into Illustrator and collect them in a mood board, and then eyedrop the colors that stand out to me and start from
Do you
there.
use mood boards and like things to gather your thoughts and things that inspire you?
Yeah, for sure. Pinterest is huge. That's how most of my branding projects start. And yeah, just gather as much as I can, and then usually have a big folder of it on my desktop and start building mood boards in InDesign and start grouping kind of concepts. And
like a physical folder on the physical desktop?
Oh no,
or
physical,
like a
digital folder on
a digital folder on
the computer desktop.
Okay.
But eventually, yeah, we do print out everything and create pretty large boards in the studio.
So okay, so let's move on.
Yeah, these are the illustrations. I wanted them to feel very digital and very flat, because that's what the story is talking about, is technology and how it shapes travel. And I reference different cities that they're talking about. So Nicaragua, Guatemala was discussed in the story, so images of people surfing. That's cool. Guatemala. Copenhagen, and I also depicted just three. A communal dining experience, and after that there's a restaurant scene of 2 tables in a bar, and even a hotel bathroom. So I wanted to really give a full circle experience of what it's like to travel, whether you're in your hotel room or out making an adventure with a friend or someone you just met.
And then this all got used in the
magazine is called Shapeshift Report, and it's an online publication that talks about design, technology, culture, different trends.
How do they publish the magazine? Is it just HTML pages, or does it have some interactivity? Is there animation?
I think it's on Squarespace. I'm 99% sure. Yeah, it's their back end.
Okay, so in this case, you just provided the illustrations, and then they included those. Oh, cool.
Right.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Victoria.
Sure, let's do another. How about Snapback?
This one?
Yeah. So this is one of my most recent projects I did at Mother Design. And Snapback is an athletic wear company that focuses on the recovery period and pre-recovery, as we called it, moments in an athlete's training. So kind of a unique space in a sportswear brand where they usually focus on kind of the active moments. This is more recovery. So the first thing I noticed about the letter forms were just how circular they were, right? We see like the A, the P, the B, the A, the C, all are perfect circles, and really wanted to play off of that. Even the S and the end have the circular kind of shapes. So that's kind of the word mark, the custom word mark that came out of that. Also kind of represented the cycles of training and recovery, and more of this recovery system that we'll talk about some more.
Very Bauhaus, like me mentions, yeah? Good. Very good crowd today.
So the way that this system works is through hot, cold, and compression therapy. And this became the main inspiration for the color palette, as we see the red and the blue, but also felt like it was a good opportunity to bring icons in to kind of educate, since that was the main way this product worked. And on the right, you see some of the art direction that we did for the brand. They had already kind of an established look that was really heavy and kind of masculine. And we wanted to bring a little bit more approachability to the brand and just a little bit of lightness. So yeah, did this photo shoot that focused on kind of post-workout moments of these athletes. An informational zine, you can go through some of the arrows to look at the different spreads.
Oh, here?
Just talk about Snapback and what this therapy, hot-cold compression therapy, does. Show off the photos a bit more. Yeah, into some,
I like this grid system, like the
yeah.
dot things.
So I was just going to talk about that actually. You can see it again down here. And so the way that came about is that the garment has these mesh pockets that you can kind of see in the zipper down here. And you insert these pods that you can either microwave or refrigerate. And on the pods is this kind of dot grid that puts the pods into place. So we thought that was like a really unique element that we could bring into the identity. It was super graphic. And it worked flat on paper, or as you saw in the zine with type. Kind of small, but yeah. And then the other mark you see here is the secondary mark on the S down further.
Down here? This one here?
Which was, you know, symbolized kind of the infinity of the athlete's training, of recovery, and also this hot, cold compress.
Boom.
As well as kind of an abstract running track when you see the two lines. But the further down you go, you see it working now the grid on photography, so kind of a nice flexible system. Into some web design, super simple, just wanted to focus on, you know, being educational about this therapy, hot, cold compress up front. And you can see a little bit of the secondary typeface on the website as well, which is a monospace on the right-hand side.
Oh, here, yes, very small. Maybe that won't be able to see. Can I click on it and zoom in? No.
So sorry.
Oh, maybe like this.
But so yeah, it's a monospace, so it brought a little bit of kind of the sporty vibe to the brand, and also worked really well in the dotted grid. And yeah, we also did a pop-up shop in Soho. So this was another example of bringing these kind of flat elements into a 3D space. This is a shot here at night. You see the kind of blue color, the brand blue color flooded. And then when we go in the interior, some of these kind of elements come to life with, you know, pegboards that represent the grid, and the whole kind of system within the pop-up shop was this like mobile modular board system. So it was a super small spot, and it needed to be mobile and kind of flexible to the needs.
There's the texture up here as well.
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
ceiling.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Snapback. Final photo down there. And
nice. Very different projects, and different styles also between you two, like completely different approaches.
Yeah.
Uh,
Talk about that third one next.
this one here?
Yeah.
Defect?
Yes. So for the past 2.5 years, I've been collaborating with two other designers named Claudine Eriksson and Andrea Johansson under a collective name called 3x Studio. And this is our second exhibition, and it's a branding project, and then I'll also show you the illustrations that I created for the exhibition. So the premise of the exhibition is a defected fixation. So basically we wanted to feature work that wasn't pixel perfect, like we had to make in our day jobs. And this is the branding poster for the exhibition. We each took the word defect fixation that was typeset in the same typeface, in the same size and kerning and whatnot, and then defected in our own way to communicate the message in this poster.
Which one's yours?
Mine is the first one.
The first one?
Yes.
This one here?
Yes. And you can scroll down. Thanks. Yeah. These are some stickers that we use for packaging in exhibition colors of red and gray and white. Scroll down. We also created a newsprint that we handed out to all of the guests at the exhibition, and basically we had information about the exhibition and about our collective and about the work inside.
I love it when they're all together like that. It's even more effective.
Yeah, right?
Like, yeah,
And
it's like very disruptive like that.
You can scroll down a bit and show. This is the inside of the newsprint. It has kind of a wireframe explaining that we each made 3 pieces, and they each have a title and our theme and info about the collective, and it's all in red, printed on newsprint. This is the packaging for the newsprint that we handed out with the sticker to all our guests. And scrolling. Now I'll show you guys the illustrations that I created for the exhibition. It was held in a space in the Lower East Side called Casa Mezcal. It's a Mexican restaurant, and there's a gallery upstairs. And we each of the 3 designers chose 3 elements, 1 photographic, 1 hand-drawn, and 1 computer-generated, and we mixed them to create these illustrations. So here's mine, there's a photo, and there's a hand-drawn line, and I duplicated it to make this kind of lockup that looks like it almost could be computer-generated, but it's actually a hand-drawn line, and then there's a gradient, and it all comes together to make this black and white abstract image. And there's a set of 3 of these, so you scroll down, there's in a frame. This is the second one of the series, and again, you can see there's this hand-drawn line, but it's pulled out to look defected, and I think it's a good example of how in design, it's really important to get outside of the grid and work out of restrictions to create balance and quality design. And that's the 3rd one of the piece.
Oh, that's a more dynamic one.
Yeah, I think most people like that one the best.
It's got this direction that the others, the other ones are like vertical direction.
Yeah, it has
and this
like a
one has
different
this
angle.
like
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have your friends' work as well?
You can
Some
pull
of
it up
yes.
if you want, but yeah, some of it is in here. Yeah, those are a couple of the other designers. That's the poster.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
I love this approach.
We've done 2, and we're planning a 3rd one now. That will be our last one, because our collective name is 3 Times Studio, so we're going to wrap it at 3 projects.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
There can't be a fourth.
No,
Nope.
wouldn't make sense.
Wouldn't make sense.
Right.
All right, we have a couple. We have some more time just to go through one more project for each, okay?
Yeah, sure.
And then we're gonna look
Sure.
at the portfolio. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a question here? Do you see something?
Some questions. Let's see. Working at Mother, does the process run team effort or designers working together? I think it's a super...
require, okay.
Require, yeah. It's definitely a collaborative environment, but we end up kind of owning our own projects towards the end, depending initially, each designer might present their own directions, and depending on what the client chooses, then that designer kind of gets to run with the selected direction. And then throughout the process, working closely with our creative directors and anyone else that's needed on the team. In this case, we had a producer for the photo shoot, the photographer, the web developers. So, yeah, takes a team for sure.
How about you? Do you work alone or in a team or?
At work, I work in a team. So I work at Condé Nast in the digital department, and
that's a big team.
we have like 20 designers. So, yeah.
Question for Darcy there.
Pardon?
Question for Darcy.
Okay. Do you plan your shapes by hand or start directly on the computer? Can you explain why?
Sure. So usually with the shapes that I create, I do sketch a little bit by hand, but mostly I start by creating a perfect shape. So whether it's a circle or a square in Illustrator, and then I grab the points of the shape and pull them and manipulate them to form something more organic. And that's usually how I get to creating these weird shapes.
That's cool. Let's see, we'll do a quick one. If we go all the way to the bottom, let's do this guy over here.
This one here?
Yeah, this is...
These masks have always freaked me out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is...
They're scary.
They are scary, yeah. But fun to photograph.
Yep.
This is a personal project that I do with my partner Victor, who is a photographer. And he's Mexican and I'm Guatemalan, as I mentioned. So we wanted to do something kind of related to that Hispanic culture, and this was kind of based off of these sayings that come up a lot with kind of our families and our grandmas. They're kind of words of wisdom. They're like little life lessons that in Spanish have a really kind of funny visual twist. And I've linked to a blog, maybe it's easier if we go there, but
if you want me to go?
Yeah, let's go to here.
Here, there's a...
Yeah. We can see it in Spanish or in English, so probably English is better.
Oops. Come on. This one here?
Yeah, let's
translate.
And then you can just see like the sayings when you hover over them. So the first one's about, kind of karma.
I have to see the ad. Wait.
Oh, we can let's go back to...
No.
Yeah.
I think it's going to close automatically. Oh, now I can close it. All right.
And the idea was kind of to keep these elements that give a nod to kind of our culture with like the Mexican leather boots, and as we scroll down a little bit, you see...
I just wanted to point to the chewing gum here.
Yes, that was kind of the karma moment from the saying. Or just kind of the crazy foods that our people eat. And this saying is about kind of don't knock it till you try it. And just having fun with kind of picking these random sayings. This is about kind of being lazy or not procrastinating because the shrimp got carried away into the current. And it's been super fun, just kind of another way to keep the creativity going outside of work. This is about greed and talks about how people don't visit cactuses unless they're blooming. And yeah.
I love the colors and how much they pop.
Yes, this is about vengeance.
This
so
is
you're scary
an
luchador.
eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Okay.
This is really strong, the one with the donuts and the mice.
Yeah, the pan dulce. It's about hard bread and how you might just end up eating it one day if you're desperate enough.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's look at one last project from you.
Sure. We can look at the dance body project, this one.
This one here.
Yeah. So this is a recent project that I did for a Tribeca-based fitness program called Dance Body. They needed new branding and some print design and basically just a whole brand look and feel. So this is their logo that I designed for them. I wanted it to feel sort of like there was movement going on, and also I made the O smaller to call attention to the fact that there's all different types of body types because it is a fitness program and I didn't want it to be intimidating. And then I have this dot here below the D to kind of give emphasis because it's dance and add rhythm to the logo. And here I have a mark, so they use this D with the dot below it on smaller assets, and it's just a nice way to their brand marks down. These are the typefaces I worked with, Graphique and Acta. Acta is also the typeface that's used for the logo. This is a color palette. I wanted the colors to feel contemporary but also sporty and also not too feminine, although I ended up using this pink a lot, but it is, after all, co-ed, open to anyone. And here again, I'm using paint. I like to paint, and I use these paint textures to give them for social media assets or print assets. It's just another way for them to make their mark. Here it is on a print. This is in store, and inside there's information about classes, and this particular one has gold foil. This is their website that I did not design, but I wanted to include it here to show you how these paint swatches are used. This is a treatment with the typography and paint, and this is an example of a social media asset. So they have these sort of inspirational quotes, freedom lies in being bold. This is their Instagram and the assets I designed for them using the brand aesthetic. And I also designed these fitness wear accessories. So this is a wristband that actually has weights in it that they use during the classes. And it's just very sleek, black with the white D. Here it is on models. And also these mats that their basically brand shape is a hexagon, so they have these hexagon mats with numbers, and in the class they call out, okay, put your hand on, you know, section 1 and your foot on section 3.
Oh,
so
like what is this game? Like,
yeah, it's kind of like Twister.
Twister, yeah.
Yeah. So using Acta, I use the font, I put the numbers around the mat and put the logo on there, and that's their class mat. And that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great, and that's a great other project. There's a question here. Do you have advice for design graduates without experience in design looking for a job? Design graduates without experience in design. Well, being a graduate, you already have a little bit of experience in design, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's just a matter of putting yourself on the market and looking, you know, finding your path, I guess.
Yeah. I think also just creating work on your own that is similar to the type of work you want to get and putting that in your portfolio, even if it's not real live work.
Definitely.
It's still an example of your ability and interest.
Yeah, this is a tip that comes over and over in these live streams is spend time to do your personal work and make sure that in your Behance portfolios or your online portfolios, for that matter, whatever portfolio, focus on the things you want to do, and yeah, don't put everything, because just the things you really want to do, because somebody might fall in love with something you didn't like doing, and then they'll ask you to do that again, and that's just bad karma, right?
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
And it happens. It does happen.
Always. It's usually what happens.
Yes.
Yeah, let's move over to a question for Victoria. For the last project, did your team start with coming up with phrases and then the concept for the imagery, or did the imagery eventually lead itself to the phrase?
We have kind of a list of phrases that we look at. There's hundreds of them. Honestly, it's kind of never ending, so it's an ongoing project. And then we also have kind of a list of items that we feel reflects these kind of cultural moments that we like. So whether it's like the Mexican cactus or the Mexican boots, or the kind of gaudy, cheesy jewelry, or the hard bread, we start finding similarities in the sayings and our list of items and start pairing in that way.
Yeah, let's start with the portfolios that were submitted to us. And the first one is from Armen Bisha from Albania, very close to where I live, just over the sea. And did you guys have a chance to already check it out a little bit?
Yeah.
Are there any projects that piqued your interest more than others?
Yeah, I could talk about the green and protein one.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took a look at this project and I think it's overall really strong. One thing that really comes to mind here though when I see this old and new logo slide is the old and new typography is really small and subtle, and I almost get confused as a viewer. Maybe these two logos are two logos you're recommending for the brand to use currently. So I think you should maybe increase the scale of this type so that it's more clear that one logo is old and one logo is new and suggested.
Is it just an impression of mine, or is the first letter of each word like a bolder version of the?
Definitely looks bolder.
It looks bolder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be bolder, I don't think.
Yeah, I think what I noticed is the new logo looks like it's a thinner version of the old one, right?
I think it's a nice evolution of the ampersand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more simplified and just graphic.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and here maybe you can show this green protein logo on its own slide. So it's, I think, maybe too soon to put it in context. Like maybe there can be a break between this and showing it in context and just having the new logo by itself so it can breathe.
And similarly with the mark itself, right? Since it's
Yeah.
being used.
Yeah,
on its
exactly,
own.
because it's being used here on the cup. Here maybe the hand-drawn type, it maybe comes in too soon. Maybe you can ease the viewer into understanding your type system by showing this hand-drawn poster typography before on a slide on its own, so it doesn't come up so suddenly. Because it's not used on the menu.
It's a totally different story. Yes.
Right.
This I get because there's the logo and the bold colors.
Yep.
But this is like a mystery. Yeah.
Right. Signage. One thing I noticed too was the signage on the bathroom and the doors. I think that I saw a little bit further down. Down here, it's different. It's thick and thin type. So maybe, again, another typography slide. And then here you have this more medium type for the open sign, showing us your system for signage and how you came to choose these different sans serifs and their different meaning.
And the one thing I always do when looking at graphics is, like especially this one, the first thing I want to squint, and I lose this completely.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, the posters.
Oh yeah, there's the poster again. Yeah.
Great.
They're
Okay.
back. Cool.
Do you have a specific project that you wanted to look at?
Yeah, there is a cool, let's see, scroll down a little bit. There's a tile one, this Caranova one. Yeah, so this was like a tile project from what I could gather. And I think in a lot of his projects, he does a good job at kind of storytelling
I'll do it.
the way the logo is made. So you have the K, the tiles moving forward. It is nice to get a little bit of context of where that's coming from. I think there's a pretty consistent use of color throughout. As we scroll, we see kind of the logo come to life through this geometric pattern, which is nice. And even the way things are presented seems to have the nod to the logo of being like tilted, you know.
Yeah, I think it's strong, the product photography and how it's at the same angle.
Yeah.
Makes for good presentation.
Here I thought the icons were nice, and if there were more up top, maybe to showcase the icons flat as a system, or showcase any other ones that maybe were made would be nice, kind of add another element to the brand.
Yeah, I think this is a more, it's an easier to understand story than the other one that we've just seen, where suddenly there's all these different things. Here, this like makes so much sense. It's got all of the applications.
I'd say one comment would be to see the typography a little bit more, you know, kind of rounds out a brand project when you get to see more than just the logo. You get to see, I noticed you use some types, so maybe pull that out a bit, and just being a little bit more expressive with typography, I think.
Yeah.
And also one thing that I'm going to be very repetitive, always try to like at least write a little paragraph about what the project is, who it is for, what the idea was. You know, we understand here that you're talking about ceramics, tiles, and mosaic tiles, and it's moving forward, and we get the feeling in the logo. But it would be kind of useful for people who watch your page or your portfolio here is to understand a little bit more about the project, and you know, and like it's super important because there's so many. But that's actually two schools that, you know, some people say, oh, just show images, to which I disagree because I need more information, because I need to, I want the opportunity to get into your head, you know, and like to see how you're thinking, rather than just seeing the images, so.
Totally agree.
One more project, or maybe two. Let's see. No, we have time.
Is there one in particular?
Should we do the logos?
Sure, yeah. Let's look
Which
at the logos.
ones?
Seems like
He had a set of logos. Yeah, I think it's the
symbols,
logo
the third
symbols above Gruda.
Where? This one here?
Above Gruda.
Above Gruda?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a mix of all of his logos.
Yeah, I think one thing that I noticed here was it would be nice if you showed the logos not on a piece of paper, because it's almost misleading that all of these logos were printed on the same paper, and I don't think that's necessarily the point of the presentation.
Yeah, even I think it'd be a good opportunity to just showcase them a little bit larger. It seems like these are really strong marks, and they live really smallly within this frame. So it could be nice just to let them live largely.
First of all,
frame?
I don't get what it is a frame. It is a frame with a dark paper. Okay. Because the logos are cool.
Right.
Yeah, they're really
They
nice.
work really well. I mean, oh, this riparini means repair me. That must be a repair shop.
Oh, that would be
awesome.
nice to be more visible
Yeah.
also. Just
Yeah,
Like-
and maybe that doesn't have to be in the same color background as the logo.
Yeah,
it can be
yeah.
removed from the composition.
We know that one. No, that's some very good. Yes, I think that's very good feedback here. I think using these black frames, you're doing your logos. You're not doing them justice.
and even showing colored logos on black, you can see how here it becomes problematic with darker colors. So
Yeah.
maybe it is on the gray or on the white.
But that's a really great series. I love
Yeah,
them.
super strong work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really nice.
This is Dante. Okay, cool, awesome. So thanks for sharing, Armand. And yeah, I hope that feedback was useful for you. And let's move over to Laura. Laura Normon from Paris, France. I like your little logo here, Laura.
Super cute.
Yeah, I love the logo.
Do you want to start?
Sure. I'll talk about this super lekker project, the flowers.
Super lekker.
Super lekker.
I mean, super good.
Nice. So yeah, I think this project is really strong. I actually noticed this before coming to the conference on Behance on my own. And I really think that first off, it's great, but the fact that these posters are presented on this view, this sort of like head-on view, and then you're showing these letter forms photographed in a different way, I think you could strengthen the project by scanning these letter forms and showing them in the same style as these posters to give it more consistency. And maybe here you can show these typographic posters larger and on their own because they're so strong, and I don't think that showing them crammed into one slide is necessarily doing them justice. And here you have the illustration huge on its own, and I think that you could do the same for these typographic ones.
Because the illustrations are beautiful.
Yeah,
I
they're
really like
amazing.
them.
They're so pretty. Yeah, I love these patterns. And maybe if you have more photos of these posters in context, that would be really nice to see because this looks like a really interesting setup, and I love how the flowers are in the image too, the real flowers, and just showing more of that I think would give us a better idea.
Did you write an explanation?
I don't know.
There was something at the beginning. Okay, artwork handmade for an exhibition about the Netherlands in Paris. Okay.
Cool.
One thing I noticed was this looks like custom typography up front that's really strong. And then as we get into the posters down at the bottom with the type, it seems to be a different typeface. I would just be curious of what that would look like with the custom typeface that
this one
was
here?
created. Might be a cool way to tie the illustrations and the typography together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think like cramming all these things together, doesn't do them justice. Especially because they're so different. Your eye doesn't know which one to observe at any given time. So maybe just one under the other. It's two different things. Just like there's two more. The same thing here. It's, like I prefer to look at the illustrations like by themselves. And again, remember that the more information I have in this area here, the more I understand. Like for example, what are these letters?
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
We can
Or
only,
how did you choose
We can
to?
only speculate. It's the name of the owners.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
All right, so here's Laura. That's actually I think one of the first persons who actually is online during the portfolio review. So Laura, thank you for joining here in the chat. And if you have any questions for our guests, please put them in here.
Yes.
So yeah, so this one, great project. Maybe there's better ways of like keeping it a little bit less confusing. Let's put it that way. And we love your little logo here, Laura. That's
Yeah, I think there's a really fun aesthetic throughout her whole portfolio. It's a little bit playful, really colorful. I was caught by Le Samaritain.
this one here.
Yeah, I thought I really liked the pattern, and then getting a little bit closer into the project, nice custom kind of word mark. Let's see. I noticed that when you scroll past all of this, you get to see the pattern flat and kind of the frame of it. It might be nice to show
This one here?
Yep, before
yes.
actually showing the pieces in context, like the business cards and all that, just so you get to see where it came from, how it was built, and then actually the applications that you used it on. Super cool pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good way of, like putting a little bit of grit in the image, like using this very simple
Texture.
It looks like an Illustrator texture.
Yeah.
Now, many people like actually add this splatter or little grit. They start the illustration in Photoshop, in Illustrator, and then bring it into Photoshop to add the grit.
Yeah.
But I think this is actually a very elegant way of, creating a little bit of tension in the illustration.
Then I love the print piece, but I will say I had a hard time kind of understanding it without a little bit of a description, or, I mean, I'm sure there's a reason for the hole in the book, which is really interesting, but...
Is it a book?
I think we get to see some spreads as we...
Okay.
Right?
It looks like a calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just something...
It's okay. It looks like a book, yeah.
A little explanation around that would be nice, just to help understand
Because
a little bit.
the effect is super interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, but we don't know why.
Right.
And it's super important, the why.
Yeah, even if it's just a few sentences after you show that whole mark, I think that would really help give it context.
Oh, she said...
Oh, did she
Oh,
say
it's the
something?
brand book.
Okay.
Ah, that makes sense.
Very nice. I like also the type that evolves from this
The
type
pattern.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you can show, oh, she does show it at the top, the San Martin logo.
This one here?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really strong.
Cool. Let's look at one last project.
Maybe, is there anything you want us to look at,
Laura,
Laura?
anything you want us to look at? We have to wait 30 seconds because, there's this delay.
Okay.
It's live stream, but it's not
Right.
it's like
So she
this is...
says the whole was about sensuality.
Okay.
Interesting.
Write it out.
One thing I noticed was just how extensive the amount of projects you have on there, which is pretty impressive. But in my opinion, sometimes it's stronger just to kind of pick your favorite ones. I noticed some of towards the end only had one photo, so just editing a little bit might be nice.
Let's see.
I think one really strong project is her master's, or I think it was her master's one at the top, it's towards the top. The Augmenté Final project.
Where,
I don't speak
this one?
French, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
The graphisme augmenté.
Yes.
Final project
Yeah, I think this project's really strong.
of
I
a
think,
master degree. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. I love the shapes. I love the color palette. There's so much context here, and you're seeing so many different views of all the different posters, and I think it's really strong. If you scroll down.
Yeah, that's always a good way to put these into
Yeah.
context. Do you guys use this app that lets you put like Illustrator files?
Live
or photos?
Surface?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah,
So
it's really
easy.
helpful. Yeah.
What's nice about this is we get a digital component towards the end as well, where these kind of shapes come to life, which is really nice.
All right, Laura, thank you for sharing your portfolio with us. And hey, what can I say? Darcy, Victoria, yeah, we're
Thank you.
done.
Thank you for having
that
us.
flew. I mean, I would
Yeah.
love to speak more about your projects and your it's such different work. It's super inspiring to have you had both here. And remember that tomorrow we're going to be live again. I'm going to just stop that for a second and just looking at the schedule here on adobelive.com. We're going to start with Nick Mizani, then we're going to have Rosa Kammermeyer, Christine Herren, Jessica Bellamy, Evelyn Hu, Natasha Jen, Amélie Lamont, Jing Wei, McKee Saturday, and Ping Ju, Leta, and Wade, Jeffrey. Whew, never ends.
Nice group.
All right? So this was the last slot for today here live on adobelive.com from the 99U conference in New York City. And we're going to be live again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Is this Eastern time?
Eastern time.
Eastern
Yep.
time. All right? So see you tomorrow, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.